Leif Garrett's face sold millions, but did his voice ever sing his only true hit? I Was Made for Dancing shot him to the top of the charts, yet hidden studio secrets point to a shocking lie at the heart of his fame. If the world's favorite teen idol wasn't even behind his greatest success, what price did he pay for living someone else's dream? In 1978, Leif Garrett's face was everywhere. His single I Was Made for Dancing crashed into the Billboard Hot 100 at number 10 and soared even higher in the UK, peaking at number 4. The song stormed charts across the globe, number 2 in Australia, top 10 in Germany, and 500,000 copies sold in Japan alone. At just 17, Garrett signed a major deal with Atlantic Records, and the industry wasted no time. His image blanketed the covers of Tiger Beat and 16 magazine, plastered on bedroom walls from California to Tokyo. By the end of that year, he was the most visible teen idol in America, hosting his own TV special and packing concert halls with thousands of screaming fans. The marketing was relentless. Producers pushed out posters, lunchboxes, and trading cards, turning Garrett into a brand as much as a singer. Every magazine rack, every record store, every television broadcast seemed to feature his golden hair and easy smile. For a brief moment, Leif Garrett wasn't just a pop star. He was the definition of teenage fame, the kind that turns a song into an anthem and a boy into a phenomenon. But beneath the glitter and the headlines, something about this meteoric rise didn't quite add up. Inside the studio, the story of Leif Garrett's biggest hit becomes a maze of secrets and missing evidence. Producers Michael Lloyd and John D'Andrea held total control, deciding not just what Garrett recorded, but how those recordings sounded, and, crucially, whose voice made it onto the final cut. Rumors swirled even as the single climbed the charts. Jim Haas, a seasoned studio vocalist, was quietly brought in whenever Garrett's takes fell short of the polished sound the label demanded. Session musicians from the era recall Haas stepping into the booth, sometimes laying down entire vocal tracks while Garrett watched from the sidelines. Yet, the official credits list only Garrett as the lead singer, with no mention of Haas or background vocalists taking the spotlight. Attempts to trace the truth run into a wall. No session logs, union pay slips, or multi-track tapes have ever surfaced to confirm who actually sang the lead on I Was Made for Dancing. The record label kept a tight lid on studio details, and neither Lloyd nor D'Andrea have addressed the ghost singer allegations in public. Even now, the master tapes remain locked away, and no engineer has come forward with evidence. Garrett's own accounts vary. Sometimes he insists his vocals were mixed or processed alongside another's. Other times he hints at full replacement. Without the original stems or a confession from those in charge, the question lingers: whose voice really powered the hit that defined Leif Garrett's career? The silence from the archives speaks just as loudly as any denial. November 3rd, 1979. Leif Garrett, just 18, slid behind the wheel after a night of drinking and drugs. Roland Winkler, his close friend, rode shotgun as they barreled through North Hollywood's winding roads. On a sharp curve near Mulholland Drive, the car spun out of control. Metal twisted, glass shattered, and in seconds, Winkler's life changed forever. Paralyzed from the waist down, he would spend the rest of his years in a wheelchair. Garrett walked away physically unharmed but emotionally wrecked, haunted by what he'd done. Police cited impaired judgment and reckless speed, and the headlines called it a tragedy that could have been avoided. Winkler's family filed a $7 million lawsuit, a number that would shadow Garrett for decades. The guilt of that night never faded. Years later, Garrett called it the moment everything ended. The point where the weight of fame, fraud, and now irreversible harm collided. From that night on, nothing was ever the same. The downward spiral played out in public, each headline chipping away at what little remained of Leif Garrett's former glory. Arrests for heroin and cocaine possession filled the tabloids from the late 1990s into the next decade. His mugshot's a stark contrast to the posters that once lined teenage bedrooms. In 2001, bankruptcy court records listed his assets at just $350, with debts topping $76,000, a collapse for someone who had once earned millions. Reality television seized on his troubles, with shows like Celebrity Rehab turning his addiction into entertainment. On camera, Garrett was caught hiding black tar heroin in his shoe, later claiming producers encouraged the spectacle for ratings. His mother, Carolyn Steller, became his anchor during these years, but her death in 2022 left him adrift. Today, at 63, Garrett's net worth is estimated at less than $10,000. He survives by selling memorabilia and making rare appearances, far removed from the world that once demanded his smile. The question of who truly sang his biggest hit lingers, but the cost of that fame is written in the quiet aftermath of a life unmade. Leif Garrett's single "I Was Made for Dancin'" reached number 10 on the Billboard Hot 100 in 1978, launching him to international fame. Behind the scenes, evidence confirms that studio vocalist Jim Haas substituted for Garrett on several tracks, but no official documentation proves who sang the final vocals on his biggest hit. The absence of original multi-track recordings leaves this central question unresolved. What is clear, supported by bankruptcy filings and court records, is the cost of manufactured fame. A $7 million lawsuit, years of addiction, and financial ruin. Today, Garrett lives in Los Angeles with under $10,000 in assets. His story detailed in his 2019 autobiography and public records. The music industry's push for image over authenticity shaped his entire trajectory. As of 2024, the truth behind "I Was Made for Dancin'" remains partly hidden, but the consequences of that era's choices are fully documented. Garrett's rise and fall exposed the real price paid when industry illusions overpower individual identity.